Yeah, so this is the Orangery at Alton Towers, also known as the Quarry Greenhouse. And it would have been known as the Quarry Greenhouse because when the work was going on to build the house, some of the stone used to build the house was actually quarried from this site. So that's why it's called the Quarry Greenhouse, and it's also quite well known as the Orangery. So that's why there's sort of two names, because an orangery is just a general term for, you know, some kind of small conservatory or something in these old stately home gardens. Now we can pretty much date this to the 1820s at some point, probably the late 1820s. That's because there's mention of it in some of the records. And also, while the ironwork for the Grand Conservatories, which is just a bit further down, was being cast at the Britannia Foundry in Derby, they were also getting the domes cast for this as well, which you can see up the top there. So the domes are, you know, pretty much identical to the ones in the Grand Conservatory. So yeah, that's why we can date it pretty much. And during the 1820s, that's when a lot of the work shifted from the house to building in the gardens and constructing all the various things we've got in the gardens these days. So as you can see, most of the stonework is pretty much intact, as you would expect. And even the iron bits here that were probably done at Britannia Foundry as well, they're still in place. It's just obviously all the glass is missing and stuff. So as you approach like this, in between and below and through these arches in front, that would have been glazed panels, and obviously sort of doors within so you could get in the orangery. And then you go inside, and then you'd have access to the bits in the side which also would have been glazed, at least at the front. Not sure about the sides and the rear, but yeah, you would have been able to go through to the side bits. As you can see on this side, the arches are still there that you would have walked through just to get into the side bits. These two blocks on either side that would have looked identical at various points in the past, in recentish history, they've been used as toilet blocks for men's and women. So you've got the one there and that would have had sort of glass fronted doors on the front of there, I expect. And obviously you've got the one at the other end, which was also used as toilets at one point. And as you can see from some old video I've got, in this end there was some like gardening supplies and stuff stored in there. But sort of that door that you see there, when it was originally made, there wouldn't have been a doorway there, like a wooden doorway. That would have been glass fronted, obviously apart from the stone around the edge, like glass panels with an opening doorway, sort of integrated. So now we're at the rear of the orangery. There's a strange wall behind that looks like it's might have been built in two little bits. And I was speaking to one of the gardeners the other day, and their theory is that maybe there used to be steps leading up to the next level up there, where the imitation Stonehenge is. And maybe at some point they decided that they didn't need them steps anymore, maybe when they built the orangery, so they blocked up the steps, maybe. So the gardeners very recently have actually been clearing a lot of the shrubbery away that's behind the orangery. So that's where we are now, just behind the orangery. As you can see, it's quite dilapidated around the back of here. Let's have a closer look. If we look carefully at the back here, you can see where there might have been original window frames sort of slotted in there or something, or maybe something else. And there's still the old sort of fitting or something there. As part of the planning permission for the next new ride at Alton Towers, which has been codenamed Project Horizon, there's talk that they may have to sort of restore this orangery as part of it, as a sort of ongoing thing. So as you can see, it is badly needed. Around the back of here there's some random old barrels, all broken and stuff. Bit of an electric box called Orangery DB. And there's some old brickwork down here as well, which will probably end up getting cleared away or whatever, or reused for something. So this is round the side of one of the ends. Some of the stonework's a bit broke, etc. But yeah, most of the stonework's not too bad. It's just all the original glass and some of the ironwork and stuff that's gone. Now if we look at the dome, the iron dome up there, which would have been glazed obviously, there's a finial on the top, and it's actually a pineapple. And the significance of the pineapple was because sort of from the 17th century onwards, pineapples were associated with royalty and beauty and stuff like that, and the foliage sort of resembling a crown. So from then on it was sort of established as a symbol of social status. Now if we look up, you'll see that there's no roof, but I've got an old stereo view image from the late 1800s, and it actually shows a glazed roof. So again, that would have been supported some way, but would have had glazed roof on it. Now the glass roof, it would have been raised above the level where the current sort of stonework and masonry is in the middle here. It wouldn't, I don't think it would have gone quite as high as the top of the domes. And I've actually drawn a picture which should show you pretty much how the orangery or quarry greenhouse, whichever way you want to call it, would have originally looked in the 1820s. So I'll just pop that on for you to have a little look at. Now in 1977 there was a great storm that badly affected Alton Towers, and it destroyed some stuff in the gardens and caused a lot of destruction on the caravan park that was at the side of the park at that time, where the hotels and stuff currently are. And as part of that storm, at least one tree actually fell on the orangery, causing quite a bit of damage to it. Now I'm not sure if that affected the other dome on the other side, where there's not one there, but it definitely caused some damage, including some of this masonry up here. Now I know that because there was a chap called Percy Salt online, and he actually repaired some of this masonry, and I'll pop up a couple of pictures for you so that you can see him actually producing that stone ready to go in. And it's actually this bit in the middle here, I think. And yeah, that was in 1996 when Percy Salt was doing his little bit of work ready to go in here. But like I say, as part of the planning for this new attraction at Alton Towers, which is going to be called Project Horizon, this orangery might be getting fixed up to some degree, which would be good because it obviously needs it. And at this corner you've got a bit of a shrub growing out of it at some point, some type. And like I say, the doors aren't meant to be like that. It's supposed to be a lot of glass. I mean, whether they go for the full restoration, I'm not sure, but it would be nice. Now the gardeners have so nicely cleared some of that shrubbery away from behind. You can actually see the imitation Stonehenge up on the next level, like you would have been able to see many, many years ago, before it all got overgrown. As you can see here, there's also a fountain, a non-working fountain, but obviously would have been working quite well one day. And I'm sure it would have had some type of nice statue on the top. And that sits just in front of the Orangery, or quarry greenhouse. See, as you can see, we would have had a nice view of the imitation Stonehenge behind the Orangery, and then the fountain. Now if you try to imagine what the glass would have looked like on the front of the Orangery, you actually haven't got to imagine too hard, because I'm going to pop down to the Grand Conservatories, and especially the end bays, you'll see exactly what the glass would have looked like for these end bays. Now, I don't think there's an exact section like the middle of the Orangery down there, but it'll give you an idea, so I'll just pop down there now. Right, so we're at the Grand Conservatories now that were sort of refurbished a few years back. And if you try to imagine the end blocks on the Orangery, or the quarry greenhouse as we call it sometimes, would pretty much have looked the same as that. And if you compare the two, you'll see the stonework with sort of the little arch bit at the top is the same. And in the old picture you can just about make out sort of the glass at design and stuff like that. So if you want to see what the Orangery end bay would have looked like, just pop round to the Grand Conservatories. Obviously it wouldn't, the Orangery is not as deep, you only would have sort of gone one or two bays back, but that's the design that you would have had. So yeah, if they could do a similar job on the Orangery as what they've done on the Grand Conservatory, it'd look amazing. So I believe this is called the Lion Fountain, and then just quickly, look, you can see the Orangery rising above, and then the imitation Stonehenge behind. This is another sort of waterwork that's not currently operating. And it's a shame that sort of these little bits of rock embellishment and stuff, they're getting a bit damaged now. But they look original to the time. And there are actually similar designed things, but in iron, running along the top of some bits of the Orangery and the Grand Conservatory. So now I'm going to leave you with some old photos and little bit of video and stuff that'll just sort of embellish the points I've been making a little bit. So yeah, thanks a lot for watching, I always appreciate it. Yeah, I'll see you next time. Thank you.